I've never been a man of complicated tastes, as you know. I work. Like most, I work. So when I come home, I look for something to watch. I like to be amused, but educated at the same time. I like film. I like learning about film, and at the same time, I like to be entertained.
And in return?
Anything.
We've known each other for a long time, but this is the first time you've come to me for help.
Please, do what I ask.
And what is that?
I want to...
You ask for too much.
Please, I ask for what is needed. It's for the community.
All right, I'll do what you ask. But someday, it might never come, but I might ask you for a favor. But for now, I'll create your show.
Yes, that's how all Roger shows are greenlit now, and I could tell the panel guests really enjoyed it. I'm your host, Eric Marchin. You may remember me from such shows as Daytime. It's quite a hit. But they got sick of me, so they decided to give me my own show. And it's the daytime of the night. Welcome to the Film Slate. Every week we'll be having a panel of guests to discuss film topics. On my panel this week, we have my occasional sidekick, Peter Smith of MovieJury.com. Thanks for being here, buddy.
No problem.
We have Mr. Tim McGavick, screenwriter, a little underdressed, but appreciate you being here, man. I really do. And we have the always entertaining and a little strange Tyler LeMaitre.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And your place is filmarmy.com.
Yes, I'm a blogger.
And you have a new company as well.
Yeah, I'm just launching Drama Club Films, short film distribution, and I also do some blogging for Film Army.
Excellent, excellent. Well, this week we're going to be discussing Leaving Your Brain at the Door. Those movies that are just, force you to suspend your belief to the point of complete insanity. Are explosions enough? Or, can we see a character that's, Bruce Willis, survive a number of bullets and keep going? So I decided, maybe we should open the floor to Michael Bay. Michael Bay films as the beginning of the topic.
All right. Well,
Peter?
Well, I was caught the Super Bowl.
Yes, the 30-second Transformers 3 trailer.
And I hated Transformers 2 as much as anybody else.
Correct.
And I saw it 30 seconds, and I was like floored. I was like, wow, the money's all there again.
But it's 30 seconds. It's not a full 2.5-hour movies where Michael Bay films are a little too long.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in 30 seconds you see like the genius of Bay. At 2.5 hours, you feel like
you feel bored and you want to leave the theater. Now, Tim, you were saying before the show began that you saw Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen twice in theaters, and I don't know how you lived through the experience.
The second time I blacked out halfway through, and I woke up and why
in Michael
did
Bay's
I even
trailer
go see it again? Yeah. I saw it the second time I saw it with some friends, and they loved it. I kept my mouth shut after that. I didn't say anything to them because they were in love with the film. But
yeah, and coming from a screenwriting point of view, what did you think of that?
The biggest problem with that movie is that while it's happening, you realize that there are holes in the plot.
Yes.
So that's fine with most movies. Like you go home and you think about the movie and you realize, oh, that doesn't really make sense. But if you're watching the movie and you see the holes actually while watching it, that's a huge problem.
And Tyler, what are your thoughts on Mr. Bay?
Well, I think his films and films of that nature are just a continuing trend that the film industry, it's in a bad way, and we're seeing fewer and fewer challenging and provoking films, and more films that are just these junk food films with absolutely no substance to them.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now, and I think until the economy, it sounds like cliche, but until the economy gets back up in the industry is where it was before pirating on the internet and all that stuff in the 90s. That we're going to be subjected to more and more of these terrible films that some people like, but from a critical standpoint, they're awful.
Yes. Now, I mean, we can't completely rip Michael Bay because there were other people that did do it before. I mean, we were talking about Tony Scott and how, you know, Beverly Hills Cop 2 is a perfect example of sort of that combination of adrenaline and action and sort of sacrificing the plot for just, you know, the characters violently killing each other. Oh, yeah, I mean, the shotgun sequence at the end in the shootout with Judge Reinhold is pretty, and John Astin is pretty violent.
You look at something like Deja Vu.
Yes,
and
which is Tony Scott ripping off Michael Bay, who originally ripped off Tony Scott.
But like, there's a geography of the action scenes. The cutting may be intense, but you always know, like, you don't have intense cutting of people walking into like a grocery store.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like
that would be great though.
And again, like I find with Tony Scott's movies, like just his color scheme. I mean, Bay was definitely influenced by it, but it always works towards the context of the story. Like shooting in New Orleans after the flooding and having like a sci-fi movie, it just, I don't know, Deja Vu has a very original look. Different from Domino, different from, you know, Unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think you know, something like Domino is sort of like Tony Scott on overdrive. You know, it's too much of what he's doing, and especially with the text coming on the screen and the quick cutting. It reminded me a little bit of Armageddon, again, a Michael Bay movie, where, you know, there's 20 seconds per cut, so you don't really get to see anything that's going on. Yeah. And, you know, again, I mean, you can even look at the 80s stuff like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. It's sort of a precursor to those Bay movies.
When action movies were awesome.
Yes, when they were good. But you know what? I'm not a huge fan of the Lethal Weapon franchise. I love Die Hard, but I just never got on board with Lethal Weapon.
Because you were dropped on your head a lot.
I probably was.
The great Richard Donner.
They have everything. They are not like your standard action films. They will make you laugh and cry and everything. I feel like those are great films, personally.
To one generation, Rush Hour is their Lethal Weapon, and that's sad. That's really sad.
That's actually quite funny in some ways, too. But no, I definitely agree with you on that. But what do you guys think about maybe even the earlier stuff? I mean, you look at stuff that Charles Bronson was a part of, and we were comparing Charles Bronson to Jason Statham a while ago. You know, how basically they're very much parallels of each other, and they just did action film after action film, but they were originally character actors.
Yeah, with like The Mechanic, the new Mechanic versus the original Bronson movie.
1972 film, yeah.
You can see it, like, the first one is a mood piece. It's about being lonely, being a hitman, and the new one is like, it's exciting being a hitman. And yeah, there's nothing wrong. I think that in every way, The Mechanic is a better film than the original. It has enough dramatic weight to it of, you know, the loneliness of the job, but it's, you know, it's directed by the guy that made Con Air, so it's got some kick-ass action to it.
Simon West,
and it's totally over the top, but it's brutal, and like, I haven't seen an action movie that violent in a long time. But yeah, The Mechanic was like, I don't know, it's just its simplicity was its charm. And it's like the best B movie I've seen in a long time.
So you would say that obviously is your favorite B movie, but do you guys have anything that sort of popped up in the recent years, or maybe just something like a Lethal Weapon that you can always go back to and watch over and over again?
Oh man.
You can take that one.
Thanks, Tyler.
Because for me, I would kind of say Die Hard is
Die Hard's kind of mine. Yeah.
I mean, every Christmas I have to watch it, and I know that, like, again, you know, we talked a little bit about how he just keeps coming back, and it seems impossible when he's walking on glass and he's being shot at. And
minus the fourth one, please.
Yes,
tell me.
Live Free or Die Hard's a completely separate entity.
The second one as well, kind of minus that one a little bit.
I like the second one, but I'm not a huge fan of the third one when John McTiernan returned.
The third one's like my favorite.
Yeah.
Besides the first one, but
well, guys, you know what? I wasn't a big fan
Hook, line,
of the
and
tunnel
sinker,
sequence. And bringing, you know, the brother, Jeremy Irons' character as Hans Gruber's
Irons
brother,
is awesome.
It's just like a soap opera.
What we saw with Die Hard 4 was like this, like I said, like the substance is being sucked right out of
All right, gentlemen,
the action genre.
I have to wrap up this panel, but it's been great talking to you about the discussion, and I hope to see you all again on a future episode.
All right.
So when we come back from the break, we'll be talking to Carissa Reyes as an up-and-coming director who recently completed her first feature-length documentary. Stay tuned.